Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I've always liked camping alone. There's a kind of peace in being the only person for miles, away from traffic, phones, and city lights. That's why I chose the Blue Ridge Mountains for this trip. I arrived late afternoon, backpack heavy, boots muddy from the trailhead parking lot. I found a flat clearing just off the main path, far enough from the stream to avoid bugs, but close enough for water if I needed it. I set up my tent, double-checked the stakes, and even built a small fire ring out of rocks. Everything felt perfect, quiet, calm, safe. The first night was normal. The usual sounds of wind brushing through the pine needles, the distant calls of owls, maybe a coyote howling somewhere far off. I fell asleep faster than I expected, my body tired from the hike. The night passed without incident, the way it always does in a forest that feels welcoming. But the second night, that's when things changed. I woke around 2 a.m., which wasn't unusual for me. What was unusual was the sound. At first, it was soft, so soft I almost ignored it. Scratching. Slow. Deliberate. Not random like a raccoon pawing at a branch or a squirrel digging through leaves. This was something moving carefully, methodically around my tent. My stomach tightened. I lay frozen, listening, thinking maybe I had imagined it. But then I felt it. Eyes on me. I couldn't hear footsteps, couldn't hear anything but that soft, deliberate scratching and my own heartbeat hammering in my chest. The breathing, heavy, slow, calm, made the hair on my arms stand straight. I sat up slowly, peering through the mesh of my tent. Nothing. Just the black blur of trees swaying in the wind. I told myself it was nothing, just the forest, just my imagination. But then I saw it, a figure crouched at the edge of the clearing, just where the forest began. I froze. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, just eyes, two shining, cold eyes reflecting the moonlight, staring directly at me. No flashlight, no gear, no face I could identify. Just watching. I wanted to scream, wanted to wake up the whole forest, but something inside me said no, that it would only provoke it. So I stayed still, barely breathing, counting seconds that felt like hours. The figure didn't blink, didn't shift. It simply observed. Minutes, or maybe it was an hour, passed. I lost all sense of time. The air around me felt thick, heavier than usual. I considered grabbing my camera from my backpack, but my hand shook so badly I knew I wouldn't be able to lift it quietly. I tried to whisper, to talk to it, to convince myself it wasn't real. But even the sound of my own voice seemed to disturb the silence in a wrong way. When the first hints of sunlight broke through the trees, the figure was gone. Just gone. No rustling, no retreating footsteps, nothing. I exhaled shakily and forced myself to pack up. My hands moved automatically, my mind racing, trying to rationalize. Maybe a local kid, I thought. Maybe some drunk hiker. But as I stepped down the trail, heading back to my car, I noticed something that made every rational explanation slip away. Footprints. Small. Barefoot. Human. And they circled my campsite. Perfect loops, as if someone had walked around my tent, paused to observe, then walked back again. None of them were mine. None of them belonged to anything I could imagine from the forest. I ran the rest of the trail, my pack bouncing against my back, my mind replaying that night over and over. I never saw the figure again. I never found any evidence, no camera footage, no discarded gear, nothing but those footprints. But I'll never forget those eyes, shining in the darkness, watching me sleep, calm and patient, waiting for something I didn't understand. I haven't camped alone since. Even now, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and swear I feel it just outside my window, watching, always watching. Story 2. I've always preferred camping alone. There's something about the silence, the way the forest breathes around you, that makes the chaos of daily life fade. I chose the Adirondacks this time, far from the roads, far from the hikers, far from everything. My phone was dead before I even got out of the car, and for the first few hours, I felt free, really free. I set up my small tent on a flat patch of ground surrounded by pines. The sun was fading, streaking the sky with orange and purple. Birds called to each other in their last flights home, and the forest smelled like wet earth and pine resin. I made a small fire, just enough for warmth and to roast a couple of sausages. Everything felt normal, perfectly normal. Then the wind changed. It started as a soft rustle, barely noticeable. But by midnight, it carried a sound I will never forget. Arslan. I froze, sitting bolt upright on my sleeping bag. My name. I didn't call out. My voice was trapped in my chest. And yet, there it was, clear as day, floating between the trees. Not a nickname, not a stranger's mumble, my full name. I told myself it was the wind, that maybe it had shifted and caught on a branch or something. But then it came again, closer this time, like someone had stepped within a few feet of my tent. Arslan. My hand shook as I grabbed my flashlight. I shined it into the darkness, but all I saw were trees. Shadows twisting and stretching, the moonlight brushing over bark like skeletal fingers. I stepped out of the tent, heart hammering, and spun in a circle. Nothing moved, nothing breathed, except the wind. Then the whisper changed. It laughed, a low, gurgling laugh that didn't sound human. It bounced off the trees, but not like an echo, like it was everywhere at once. Behind me, in front of me, above me, below me. I tried to tell myself it was a prank, someone messing with me. But no one could have known I'd be here. The nearest trailhead was miles away, and this spot, almost never visited. I grabbed my pack and started hiking, hoping I could reach the main road before daylight. That's when the forest started to betray me. Trails I'd passed earlier twisted and bent in ways I didn't remember. A turn that had led to a clearing now looped back to the same patch of mossy ground. Every landmark looked wrong. Every tree looked unfamiliar. And through it all, I could hear it. Whispering. Laughter. My name, over and over. Arslan. I ran blindly. Every step, I expected my phone to light up, to have some GPS signal, some help. But the screen remained dead, black as the night. I stumbled through underbrush, scraped my arms, tripped over roots. And still, the voice followed. Then it got closer, more insistent, almost playful. Arslan, come here. I swear I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. Shapes that weren't quite human, twisting between the trunks. My mind tried to rationalize, tried to convince me it was deer, raccoons, or my imagination. But rational thought doesn't last long when the forest itself seems alive, laughing at you. I collapsed at one point, gasping, bloodied from branches, and sat against a tree. The laughter had stopped for a moment, and I thought maybe, finally, I had shaken it off. But then I heard it, whispered right into my ear. "Did you miss me?" I screamed and scrambled to my feet, running faster than I ever thought possible. My legs burned, my lungs tore, and still I couldn't find the road. The trail seemed endless, a looping nightmare of trees and shadows. Every time I thought I'd break through to light, the forest closed in tighter. Hours, maybe minutes, maybe days, I don't know. The darkness shifted, the trees changed shape, and the voice kept following. It didn't always speak. Sometimes it just watched, and I could feel it, a presence brushing against the back of my mind, feeding on fear. Dawn finally came. Weak, pale light filtering through the trees. And then, miraculously, I stumbled onto the road near a ranger station. Exhausted, soaked, bleeding, I fell to my knees, eyes wide with disbelief. I turned back once, just once, but there was nothing. No tent, no fire, no footprints, nothing that could have marked that place as real. I told the ranger what happened. He smiled politely, said the forest plays tricks on lone hikers, and handed me a cup of coffee. I didn't argue. I just drank and nodded, feeling every second of that night etched into my bones. I never went back. I never even told anyone where I was camping. But sometimes, late at night, when I'm home alone, I hear it again. Soft, patient, right outside my window. Slan. And I know, without a doubt, it knows where I am. Always. The thing that called my name that night didn't belong to the forest. It belonged to me. And somewhere, in the shadows, it waits. Even now, I can feel it, watching, waiting, whispering. Slan. Story 3. I've been camping at this lake in Oregon for years. Not a weekend warrior kind of thing. I mean serious, backcountry, packing camping. I know the trails, the trees, the smell of wet pine after rain. I know the sound of the lake lapping against the shore at night. And I know I've never seen anything like what happened that night. I arrived late, way after sunset. The sky was already the color of bruises, purples and dark blues smudged across the horizon. I carried my pack to the usual spot, a small clearing I'd staked claim to years ago. Tin up, sleeping bag fluffed, I gathered sticks and tinder for a fire. There's something comforting about a fire, even when you're alone. Warmth, light, the soft crackle of burning wood. It feels human, alive. By 11 p.m., the fire was a steady orange glow, casting long shadows across the trees. The forest around me was quiet, almost too quiet. Then I saw it, across the lake, barely visible at first, a faint flicker, like a candle trying to fight the dark. I frowned. No one else was supposed to be here. This lake is remote, permit only, and I knew the trails. I would have noticed anyone walking in. But the flicker didn't stay put. It started moving. At first, I thought maybe I was imagining it, maybe a reflection of the fire on the water. But no, it moved along the shoreline, slowly, deliberately, closer to my side of the lake. No sound, no footsteps crunching on leaves, no splashes, nothing. Just fire, floating, moving closer across the water. I grabbed my flashlight and started running along the shore, shouting, "Hey, who's there?" My voice sounded small against the trees, swallowed by the dark. The fire didn't answer. It didn't react. It just kept moving as if it had a mind of its own. And then it stopped. I stopped too, breath coming in sharp gasps, heart pounding like a hammer. I shone the flashlight over the water, expecting to see someone hiding, laughing, waiting to scare me. But there was nothing. No person. No reflection of a body. Only the fire, dancing, floating like it had stepped out of another world. And then it disappeared. I blinked, tried to convince myself it was some trick of the light. That's when I saw them, footprints in the wet mud along the shoreline. They weren't human. Or maybe they were, but stretched, long, unnatural. Each step pressed deeply into the mud, leading from the spot where the fire had vanished, straight into the forest. And then they just stopped, like whoever or whatever was walking had evaporated into the trees. I didn't sleep. I stayed by my fire, watching, waiting, but the forest stayed silent. The lake calm, the air heavy with wet wood and something else, something faintly metallic like blood, but I knew it wasn't from an animal. I packed up before dawn. I didn't touch the footprints. I didn't look back. I didn't stop running until I was back on the main trail, breathing the safe, sharp morning air. Weeks later, scrolling through the local news, I froze. Another hiker had gone missing, near my lake, near the same spot I'd camped. Witnesses, other campers who arrived the day before the search party, said they saw a fire across the lake, dancing in the darkness, but no one there. Authorities found only the faint outline of footprints, stopping mid-forest, just like mine had. No body, no sign of struggle, nothing. I can't stop thinking about it. The fire, how it moved, how it disappeared. I've been back a few times since, during the day, to hike the trails. Always the same quiet, always the same sense that the trees are watching. At night, I can't go back. I can't even look at a campfire the same way. Because I know now that fire doesn't always mean life. Sometimes it's something else, something that follows, something that waits. And I'm pretty sure if I'd stayed that night, I would have been the one who disappeared. I still see it in my mind sometimes, the way it floated across the lake, reflecting nothing, chasing nothing, yet somehow alive. I'll never forget the smell of wet pine mixed with the metallic tang of fear. The fire wasn't mine, but it came for me anyway. I never camp alone anymore.